The deal is this. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Tell you, when I was a kid, I read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Dude, I'm pissed. Dude, I'm pissed. Come on. What? Wait. Come on. What? Wait. Okay, by the time we finish this, you're all going to be practicing magician.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I talk about all things X-Men. This is it, Gary. Are you ready to finish the fight? I think that's what we say.
I am ready.
Is that what we call it?
I'm ready to finish the fight.
Finish the fight.
Finish the fight. This is the last episode of this kind of bundle, and then next time will be the final bundle of episodes, of issues for this, of this arc. Then we'll do our wrap up, and then it's time for Apocalypse. And we are on to this final arc. Here Comes Tomorrow, part 1 of 4, which, might could have been a 5-issue arc. And would have had a little bit more space to breathe.
I feel like it could use another issue. Like some of this stuff was a little bit better explained, or just a little bit more lived in. Because they're throwing concepts and characters at you so rapid fire. Some of them look like characters that you've seen before, but like we're 150 years in the future, so it's very confusing if these characters could be the same or if they are different. And then way after you see them appear the first time, you learn like, oh, this is Beak's great grandchild. This isn't Beak. There's a lot of stuff like that I think if you're reading through it the first time, it would be very difficult to understand what the fuck is happening. I can't imagine like reading this monthly, like waiting for the pull, waiting for my pull sheet at my local comic book shop and being like, okay, got to read the last issue before I read this one because I don't remember what the fuck happened. That was 30 days ago.
It's dense.
It's extremely dense.
This shit is dense. So we're this is podcast as service.
Yes.
We're gonna unpack this stuff. Before we get into that, we should talk about the new artist.
Yeah.
So Mark Silvestri is the artist for these last 4 issues. I don't think he is to either of our taste, really. And I think the reason why this artist was chosen for this, we talked about before about how Grant Morrison kind of does like a lot of stock X-Men stories. Like here's the school stuff, here's the Magneto stuff, here's the here's the future stuff, here's the various things like that. Here's the Space Shi'ar stuff. This is kind of a classic X-Men thing, the Dark Future, and he chose an artist that is very 90s X-Men.
Yeah.
For it. He just happens to be one I don't like very much.
I don't really have a problem with him. I think for the setting it works really, really well. Like we've called out a lot of like bad art throughout this entire run. I don't think that it gets anywhere to those depths that we've seen before. So I'm actually pretty okay with the style here. Like I think it works really, really well, especially as soon as you go into like there's a couple of things here that, and I don't know if he did this or not, but like the cemetery stuff with Scott and Emma look fucking awful. But a lot of the action,
that is one of the worst Emmas,
dude. That is like that got to be the worst.
Her
Emma.
Boobs are vying for position. It's like both her boobs are trying to get into a store before it closes.
The left boob is like, I need the toilet paper, and the right boob's like, we need milk more than toilet paper.
But there is one of them in front of the other. Like they're not, which I understand happens. All boobs are different.
You mentioned this being extremely dense, and I think that's kind of like represented pretty clearly by the cover, which is like a classic like Wolverine wearing jeans with some like this, his old yellow latex uniform on, but like the sleeves are torn off. He's got a cowboy hat on, but in the background is like every world like landmark, like Uncle Ben and the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben,
Uncle Ben,
the tower. Rice? Yes. Big Ben and
our big cultural monument, Aunt Jemima.
Man, you make that joke. There's a restaurant outside of Natchez, Mississippi that is in the shape of Aunt Jemima. Like no lie, like a giant statue of Aunt Jemima. Like not even a statue, like a building that's in that shape that you can go into and buy pancakes. It's fucking ridiculous.
Whoa. Like we found her lair.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it and send you pictures of it. I know I have pictures of it somewhere. So.
That's amazing. Yeah, he's going through this is pretty wild if you start examining the background.
Yes. Weird tentacle stuff, like going out of the White House, like it's fucking crazy.
Yep. And we start kind of right away introduced to a new character, which I think is another reason why people get put off this arc. And I totally get it, because our point of view character, is not an X-Man.
Yeah.
Traditionally. We are, it says the here and now, and we're introduced to this new character, Tom Skylark. Who is being chased by a bunch of night crawlers. Yeah. Who he calls crawlers.
Also, Tom Skylark, like, did Buick have like a ad marketing kind of fund or something? Like, did Buick go to like Marvel and be like, can you get a Skylark in there somewhere? And they're like, no, but we can name a guy that. And they're like, fucking hey, let's do it.
Yeah. Fucking Tom Morrison's like,
Skylark.
I'll do it for money. Yeah. And we're immediately put off balance. Like, we don't know who this guy is. We don't know why there are multiple night crawlers. We don't know why they're chasing him and they're evil.
Yes. They kind of corner him. They surround him. And the crawlers don't speak much, but they do say stuff like boo or fear or things like that. He's surrounded, and then he immediately calls for his quote, big mate, who is named Rover. Yeah. And Rover is a first generation, like, classic purple sentinel who shows up, says destroy, and then immediately destroys all of the crawlers. There were 5, but we only see 4 get disintegrated, and that's going to be important in just a few pages.
Yeah, and he notices this as well. This isn't just an audience hint, they're here to meet somebody. He's like, we can't stay out here a minute longer. The Beast knows this place like the back of his hand, and we see that they're in the ruins of the Xavier Institute.
Yes. So is this the Beast that's our Beast? Is it what Beast is this? But we don't really have time to think about it because Eva shows up. Eva, is classically Phantom X's external nervous system or whatever. And she has decided to make herself appear as a super sexy hot lady because,
EVA developed horniness during this. There's some weird flirting that happens between them.
Dude, that
I think is
the weirdest fucking
strange
thing. Yeah, I don't know what, like, in an arc that has 4 issues, like, can we not have the weird, like... And like the stuff that it does with Rover, like it's just really fucking weird all around. Like,
the horny subplot I have a real problem with in this, and like usually that's my problem with horny subplots, like why these characters are horny, because it's like, well, we New York's on fire, like we have a plot to get to, like I don't, it's like we said in the issue on the space station, like I don't feel like dying, like fucking when it's 130 degrees, I'm going into the sun. Like why do these people feel like fucking when the world is ending? And I understand that there is a real thing, like people when they're aware of their own mortality they fuck, but we're not seeing them in like the moments when they sleep and stuff. We're seeing them walking around talking about important stuff, and just the idea that this nervous system developed like hornicules and stuff it does not work for me as a thing.
Well, and like
which should surprise nobody because it's not my thing.
When they first meet, she says, "You must be Tom Skylark," and he says, "Oh, I want to be referred to as Rover and I, like me and my partner." And then he's like, "But I'm very good with machines." And she responds to say, like, the stuff that happened with me and Phantom X, I haven't seen him long ago, but now I am alone. And I'm like, what are we?
She's even horny for Rover. She's like, oh, he seems to be a first generation Sentinel, one of my ancestors. Such a strong machine.
This is like is she played by Shannon Tweed? Are we in a Skinamax movie right now? Like,
and she's played as a bunch of horny silver gunk. Like she's liquid silver boobs, generally. And it's weird. Like it's pretty off-putting. I don't care for it.
Yeah.
The lore stuff of this arc I'm way into, like, which we'll get to, but the character stuff I think is where like a lot of off-puttingness happens.
So Rover is basically Tom's like best friend / partner. But Rover can only really vocalize the word destroy, which we're gonna see several times. And he has saved Tom's life many times. We're gonna find out like much later that he like saved him as a child and like brought him food and stuff. So like there's a extra special connection between the two of these. But almost
there's a big
people.
boy and his robot.
Yeah. James and the giant peach kind of situation.
Exactly.
I mean, I've never seen that. I'm assuming the peach gets dies in the end or something. So
I'm fairly certain you mean the Iron Giant, but same diff.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same movie, right? I've never seen either one of them. I'm assuming it's the same movie. It's the same.
Very
plot.
similar.
Yeah.
So they have the Phoenix egg.
Mm-hmm.
That's their whole thing. He's like, the proud people found it on the moon. She's like, is this real? And he's like, of course it's real. If it wasn't real, do you think Beast would be trying to get it? Let's head back to the Institute. She turns into a ship. He jumps on Rover and they fly away.
Yes, and he just says destroy. They arrive in Manhattan, which is now a crater, and Eva explains that they're trying to preserve the achievements of the past before they're all used up as fuel or compost, and that's why all of these landmarks are here in this Manhattan crater. And we like we said on the cover, we have Big Ben and the Leaning Tower of Pisa, like all of these other things. I know I said Big Ben again. I just doing it on purpose this time.
It's okay. Well, no, Big Ben is correct.
Oh shit!
Uncle Ben is.
God damn it!
He did it on purpose because he's the wrong. Uncle Ben is a kind of rice. Big Ben is a huge,
and it's also a plot device. Like we can say that.
Yes, yeah, it's true. So they say here, the reasons for EVA says we figured an interspecies group of X-Men might be the only way forward. The Xavier Creed is stress integration. So we're recruiting you as a human, and he's like, never mind integration. I want revenge. Like the proud people all die because of that thing. Like if the X-Men can take down the Beast, I want it.
Yes. And then we go to Trans-Atlantis, where somebody is talking about God abandoning his failed experiment on Earth. Now is the time of blasphemous creation where man once walked. New monstrosities thrive. His ruined cities, they are breeding grounds. And this is Beast. And Beast, the whole thing is creating these weird genetic creatures. And even though he's got a belt that kind of looks like Apocalypse's belt, Apocalypse has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, he says it. He says, prepare to die in this apocalypse. And apocalypse is capitalized. Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Like they should, I know apocalypse doesn't just mean big purple A-belt guy, but when you're doing a dark future, this is a real irritating red herring.
Yes.
To do that.
And it must have been super irritating for them too, because I think it's in the letter page of the next issue.
Yes.
Like they straight up say the Apocalypse has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. They're worried that he does,
Yeah.
And basically what he's been doing is he's creating these super soldiers using Nightcrawler's body as the basis and then coding traits onto them. He can put different mutant traits onto this thing and create these super soldiers, basically, these monstrosities. They call them Chimera.
Chimera, yeah. Over at the Institute, Eva is explaining that the Beast is continually attacking their compound, and he has stolen the entire mutant gene base so that he can code and splice directly from that. But they have a security shield that he can't get through until, of course, the fifth Nightcrawler from the beginning of the page is revealed to be inside of Rover the Sentinel, which is a super bummer for everybody.
Yep. It starts multiplying. They're like, oh, they couldn't teleport through the shield. No, but this one it's duplicating itself. And she scans its DNA, and it has Cyclops and multiple man codes. So it can multiply and it can shoot eye lasers.
Super dope.
Yeah, super cool. Tom Skylark says, Rover protect, and it he puts his hands around him, protects him from lasers, and then destroy.
Yes.
And he spreads his hands and destroys a bunch of the Nightcrawlers. But there's just hundreds of them.
Yeah, and super fast too. Like this is really, really good. Tom Skylark sounds like a character that's on fucking Breaking Bad. I swear to God, I can't get it out of my head. I don't know why. I guess it's a Skylar thing. Maybe I'm thinking of. I don't know. But
Tom Skylar.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Eva turns her hands into like weird gun machines and starts like mowing people down. And then she calls for an X-Men emergency, and that's where Beak shows up. But Beak looks a lot different. No longer a bag of chicken bones and some feathers. He's got like full wings. He's all muscled up like he's been at the gym, and he's carrying a wooden baseball bat, not a metal baseball bat. He learned his lesson. Yes.
And he starts beating the crap out of people's heads. He says, he grabs one of them and says, "Charm on, monster." Which again is, I guess like Instance 3 and Grant Morrison trying to come up with new slang.
Yeah.
Just
not good.
Total zeitgeist. Charm on, monster.
Unfortunately, they can't stop the crawlers from taking down Rover, and then releasing the egg on its back and then teleporting away from it. So like no sooner did the good guys have the eggs, was it stolen away from them and back to the beast. And of course, like these crawlers are like, is good, are clever, and they're like, you are what I made you to be. Like if you did anything right, it's because I made you that way, motherfucker. And I think that's a really good villain moment to me.
I love the idea that they're like, they seem really subhuman, but they're still kind of like looking for approval, kind of like dogs.
Yeah.
Ist gut, are clever, yeah. You know, like we did a good job. And he's just like, shut up. You know, does not matter. And he very specifically says, oh, my sweet Jean, when he has the egg.
Yeah.
You know, this is greater than gold, more deadly than bombs. Like getting this egg is a real big deal. We cut over to the Stepford Cuckoos, you know, who are talking to Tom Skylark. You know, your arrival may have come too late, Wayfarer. You know, our hope was taken from us, that immense power, the dread potential now lies in the hands of the beast. You know, in our dreams, we've seen a dark age. You know, basically, you know, seen worse than all these, a terrible flaw at the heart of all things, which is going to be important.
So, as I was reading this today, and again, read towards the end, so I could kind of I could have the context for the ending as we were talking about this. The one thing that I couldn't really get over, like, are these the Stepford Cuckoos? Are these the ones that we know it from the early 2000s? Because like they look the same and they're calling themselves the 3 in 1, but like they were teenagers then and now we're 150 years later. Like Logan is going to be here in a second. It makes sense for him to be 150 years old. But like who are these Stepford Cuckoos? Are these the same, or were they like created? Because at some point they mentioned like they created them in the world or something, but that could also be Cerebra, which is now a person. Like this is going to get real confusing for me. So,
well, I mean, I think that they are the original ones because they're weapon 12 or something.
Okay,
you know, they're weapon 13 or weapon 14. I can't remember which weapon they are, but I would imagine them being immortal because they're Super Sentinels. You know, they're the same thing as Phantom X and Wolverine and Weapon 15 and stuff.
I just thought that was they were when that comes up of like I created you or whatever. And we'll talk about it when we get there. I really thought it was Cerebra for some reason, but we'll figure that out later.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's been retconned that they're one of the weapons. I think that comes up later as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Even if it doesn't come up here, like I'm pretty sure, like I'd have to look at the wiki, but I'm 90% sure.
Yeah,
the Cuckoos are one of the weapons.
Let's not become the wiki podcast, though. We don't want to do that.
We have to read. That's not us. And we you know, she's like, how can this happen so quickly? And then Wolverine answers like, nobody thought Rome could fall either.
Yeah,
you know, they had a postal service, could do 170 miles in a day. They had plumbing. Women were free. You know, they spanned the world. And within a few hundred years, it was all debris and lice. And then it's revealed this is Wolverine.
Yes. Shortly after we see Wolverine, Cassandra Nova shows up and says, you know, I've been studying all this weird behavior patterns. Something has gone fundamentally wrong. And he calls her Mrs. X, where the Stepford Cuckoo says, a little respect for our headmistress, please. This is Cassandra Nova Xavier. And she says that their universe has been broken and there's no one left to put it right but them.
Yes.
And we go to a splash page that says 150 years earlier with Scott in a very busy, extremely busy cemetery.
Bloodborne. Father Gascoigne is going to jump over this hill like any second.
Yeah, I'm going to get stun locked because I can't get around Jean Grey's fucking
tombstone. They keep clipping into Jean Grey's tombstone.
I heard if you stand next to Xavier's, though, you can just get a bunch of free shots off. It's a real easy way to cheese him.
Yeah, exactly. You can cheese the grief. Grief percent. He's looking at that. They're looking at her tombstone. I love it. Like Jean Grey Summers, she will rise again.
Like, what kind of fucked up thing is that to put on somebody's grave, man? Like,
I'm gonna put it on my fucking grave, dude, and scare passersby.
Like, it's not gonna scare a single solitary soul, man. What are you doing? What kind of fucking bleeding edge? Like, are you gonna tattoo the word fear on your knuckles next, Gary? Jesus Christ.
Yes, Scrimshaw, because I'll be a skeleton. But like, if you were just going through a graveyard on your way to visit Grandpa or whatever, and you saw a thing that had like somebody maybe with a scarier name than me, you know, because Scary Butterfield doesn't sound that scary, but it was like He Will Rise Again. At the very least, I'd be like, whoa. I know I'd be scared, but I'd be pretty into it.
Yeah, like Reginald McMasters the Fourth. He will rise again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck is that dude doing?
I would be like, oh, lich, cool. Like if it's Gary Butterfield, though, I got one of those real dorky names. You can't have butter in your name and not have it, and be a fat guy, dude. Yeah. Like I'm fucked for sounding cool. Like I will never sound cool in my entire life. But I sound like a Tim and Eric name. But if I had a cooler name, if I was named like, Maximum Riker or something like that.
Sure.
I could, it'd be way better.
Maximum Riker. That's definitely what I think you should just change your name now. Like, don't worry about the SEO or any of that like previous stuff. Just change the name. I'm Cole Ross. I'm Maximum Riker. And this is Watch Out for Fireballs.
I looked into changing my name because my dad thought to my identity a bunch because I'm a junior.
Yeah.
But it's too much of a pain in the ass and it's expensive.
It's super expensive and it's a huge pain in the ass. Yeah, I did know that.
I was going to change my last name just to Field. So, yeah, I didn't do it.
Okay. Why Field? I mean, I know it's Butterfield, but like, why not Butter?
Oh, do we need to go through the whole bit?
Have you already done this with Cole at some point? Probably. Sorry.
Yeah, probably. No, I just mean like not the Jeremy. I don't mean the whole bit like that. I meant the whole bit like 1 minute ago when I was just saying how my name has butter in it. It doesn't sound cool.
Oh, I know. But I mean, yeah.
Field. Anything can happen in a field. Field.
If you say so. So Scott is here when somebody says from the background, this will only be the third or fourth time you've had to bear your it must be getting rather tedious, and it's revealed to be Emma Frost looking like somebody literally traced a porno star's face on to this. I don't know what's happening here, man. Like, this looks bad.
Look at her arm.
Yeah.
Like, does she have? Where is her elbow? It looks like she has like a very short arm that is like a little tentacle.
Yeah, dude.
This is one of the worst drawings in this run.
And it's, what's weird is like, we haven't really talked about the art in the comic in general, and I thought it's been really creepy and good. Like, all of the line work and stuff is really interesting. Even the Bloodborne ass cemetery, like, I'm kind of into. Like, it looks cool. And then you get to this, and it's like, what the fuck happened? Like, did they not draw this? Like, what is going on?
He can only draw sexy robot, like liquid robot women.
I guess so, man.
Regular, yeah. So she's teasing him, like, this must be getting tedious, Scott, these reruns of your grief. And he's like, that's not funny. And she's like, yeah, it is. And he basically says, no, like, this last year, what Zorn did to us, my eyes were open. It doesn't matter what the X-Men do. They're always going to want to kill us. This is my life now. And he's basically, giving up hope. She's like, what difference? What are you talking about? Let's reopen the school. Like, we can change the world, you and I. We'll be great teachers. We'll inspire students to greatness. Imagine what we can do for each other. Don't you want to inherit the earth? And Scott says, no, you can find someone else. I quit, and walks away. This is that fracture. This is the universe breaking, as Scott Summers giving up.
Yes. And that's the end of the issue. And this is going to be kind of the foundation for everything that goes forward to the next 3 issues. Even though shit is going to get super fucking crazy. Like, it's going to get a little wild out there.
I'm looking forward to the wildness. So we'll do the next couple issues, then the just like a brief, like just a summary of what happens in the final 2 issues that Chuck Austen wrote that are bad, but are technically still. It's so fucking night and day,
dude.
Like, as soon as you read it, it's like, oh, this is what shitty soap opera X-Men is.
Yes, absolutely. Like, yeah. And even though there's a couple of lines in that I like, because I read them today too, but the goddamn is the art some of the worst stuff that we've ever had to talk about on this show.
Man, Beast looks incredible. And Salvador Larroca draws Beast like a fucking maniac. Like, he looks like like a Disney cartoon.
It's over the top, dude. The little robot thing that they fight in the danger room. Like, what is going on with that?
It's super dumb. It's
like
what a horrible comic.
It's like a Contra 3 villain that some 12-year-old tried to draw the other side of. It was like, oh, I don't know how any of this works.
X-Men 3 Alien Wars.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So that's the end of this episode, though. Thank you for listening. We'll be back in a couple days. If you like this show and want to support the network, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yes. Doing that benefits us directly. You can also leave Apple Podcast reviews and ratings. That helps us out quite a bit as far as people finding the show. Also, tell your friends. Like, if you dig this, if you like what we do, tell your people about it. Like, your friends are probably like you, and that they'll like us and what we talk about. So definitely do that. As a reminder, after we finish this arc, which will be in another 4 episodes, we're going to pivot over to Age of Apocalypse. So get your Marvel Unlimited subscriptions ready to get into some crazy fucking 90s territory. I'm super excited. But before that, we're going to do a feedback episode. So if you want to talk about new X-Men or have any questions for us or whatever you want us to read on the podcast, go to daysoffuturecast.com/contact. We'll be back in a few more days to finish the fight.
Yep. Stay inside, read comics.
Stay inside, read comics. We love you. Don't die. Bye.